I wanna talk, yeah, talk. I wanna talk, yeah. Do you know what? Let's be serious. Let's get into this. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me again today. So, one of the comments that I've received the most ever since I've started sharing my journey is that I am brave. And I've always known that stepping out and talking about infertility is something that people might go on and see as being brave. But from my perspective, I just saw it as, I explained in my first video, that for me, it was really because I was looking for an African perspective. I was looking for someone who had experienced it here in South Africa to go on and explain it to me. Part of my journey actually had a mix of these things in there. And I figured we might as well just have a discussion, because I think to myself, so I do not want to necessarily be as if I'm the one who has the answers to it all, because I absolutely do not have. So I would really appreciate it if you would drop comments with regards to the topic that we will be discussing today, and really to engage with each other with regards to how to go on and tackle this issue, so that we would go on and really normalize talking about IVF or talking about infertility in our societies, or in the societies that we're in, or the circles of influence that we happen to be in. So this week on my social media platforms, I sent through a couple of questions where I said to, just asked a question, and I said, if you've ever wanted to share your infertility story with anyone, why is it, if you held back, why is it that you actually, held back from saying it? I figured, why not go on and talk about it? And see what it is that's actually holding us back, or why it is that it is considered taboo, and all of those things. So, probably realize that it's probably taboo because of just the societal sort of influence that people actually have over us, or because you come from a certain culture, you come from a certain religious background, you come from a certain family, and what it is that they hold as values or dear to them. I'm just trying to think of whether when I was growing up, reproductive health was said beyond the classroom of just being told, listen here, this is how people make babies. The common narrative has always been, whatever you do, do not get pregnant. In my own mother tongue, you would hear statements such as, when I say reproductive health, it is taboo. You do not talk about that. You're not going to say it to anybody. But not necessarily that someone came out and said it, but it's just the undertones and just the little innuendos that would make you know that this is a no-no. And I think that's probably where the sort of root with regards to it being taboo, well, in any event, in my experience, just to think about it from this perspective. So you're a 13-year-old girl, you get your first period, but nobody before this time has ever said to you, oh no, you're going to get your period, this is what it's going to be, this is what you actually need to equip yourself with, you need to go in and get pads or whatever it is that you're going to go and use, and this is how you're going to use them, so that you're prepared for what's coming. Our society prepares us for a whole lot of things. I know, coming from Zimbabwe, that education was big, because the issue was, if you're not educated, you don't have a future. And I'm thinking to myself, in as much as education and the academics of it is all brilliant, but there's still life that one needs to go on and live. And I wonder whether those discussions were being had to just say, just as a human being on a social level, or on any other topic with regards to you as a human being that makes you whole and everything else that comes with it. This is how I have handled life. And insights into that, or whatever it is, to go on and just learn from them. But there was none of that. I remember I literally get my period. I've got 2 older sisters. I don't remember asking them. I'm not sure whether I just felt like, oh my goodness, this is something that I'm not supposed to talk about. But I remember the first thought in my head was, because of the fact that it always probably was said, it was always that, oh no, as soon as you get your period, it actually means you're going to get pregnant. So whatever you do, do not go on and mess around, because now it's for real. So it was almost, I don't know, like almost I'm not really sure whether I should be open, or even if I wanted to go to my mom to go in and ask it, I'm wondering, how do I go on and even start or broach the subject? Because this has never been discussed. So I figured I would DIY this, and I would do it myself. But obviously, I'm sure a whole lot of people can go on and relate that the DIY is probably something that probably did not work out. You are treading on ground that you have got no skill on. You are thinking to yourself, I must keep this a secret. I must not tell anybody. Why? I'm not sure why it is that you'd feel like that. And I think it's the same question that I also asked my friend. and her mother is also a nurse, but it was never a subject that you would think, oh no, for nurses it would be easier to just, say to us. So as I was thinking about this topic, I was wondering to myself, what is it that is feeding this narrative, or this narrative to go on and be true, that talking about infertility or fertility or reproductive health in an African context or in an African environment or in a Black community anyway is seen as taboo. And I just probably thought to myself, it probably stems from a whole lot of cultural beliefs. It stems from a whole lot of value system. It stems from religious sort of beliefs and backgrounds that are just vast. But what's common across all of those, and as much as you can be coming from a different denomination, different sort of cultures, you still know it is taboo to do and talk about infertility. I would really hope that by me sharing my story, it is actually going to equip and empower and go on and encourage those discussions with regards to it. Or perhaps even reflect on why it is that we feel like, oh no, that should be a taboo subject. It should be kept in a certain little closed box and we should not venture that way. So probably a bit of introspection and just a self-reflection to just go on and really tackle the issue, to really say, why is it that I do not want to go on and share it? Or why is it that I would not actually consider talking about fertility or reproductive health with that girl child of mine, or with that boy child of mine? Because equally both of these individuals are affected by it. So fast forward now that I then get married, the most common question that I'm asked is, oh no, when are we having the kid? When are we having the baby? When is the baby coming? Oh no, girl, you need to, get on with it. And because, the clock is ticking. That's a clock that's already ticking from the perspective of, oh, by now you should have gotten married and probably had 2.5 kids. So I just thought to myself, between probably around 13 or 14, you're having your first period, or even younger than that. And fast forward now to 15 years later, no discussion has happened between these 2 points. So a discussion that is being held, for instance, with your girl child. So now you've got your period, and this is what potentially could happen. With regards to your period, if you see that your period is not regular, say something about it so that I could go on and take you to see a doctor. If it is that, oh no, your periods are painful and it's not, it's probably, oh no, is it a 1 to 10 and the scale of it is always on a 10. Surely, as a parent, go and come to me and let's talk about it. If it means we have to go in and seek help from a gynecologist or from a doctor, we should. I think having the conversation is not necessarily condoning sex before marriage or any sort of promiscuity, but literally to go on and say, if you do go on and embark on this, this is how you're going to do it. I know of lots of stories, and I wouldn't even say lots of stories as if it's, I'm immune to this or I've never had to experience it. But just from the perspective that you think to yourself, you go ahead, you're at varsity, ill-equipped with regards to how to go on and handle yourself. You're going to get a boyfriend, you're going to get whoever it is that you're going to get, and have a relationship with that individual. If that individual puts you in a position where now you are saying to yourself, oh no, if you make that decision to say, oh no, I'd like to have intercourse with this person, I wonder how many people or how many girls would actually go on and find the courage to walk into that clinic and actually say, oh no, I'd like to get contraception, because of the fact that I would rather go on and prepare, with regards to family planning, as it's called, because of the fact that I'm not yet ready to have a child. Or is it just a matter of, oh no, feel through the dark and go on and get advice from your peers who are most likely not to point you out to contraception, but they would go on and point you out to the fact that, oh no, it doesn't matter. In any event, you'll always drink the morning after pill. And I just think to myself, such stress and anxiety because a society would not want to talk about how it is that I should go on and be able to sort of navigate life with all its challenges that are going to come through. So because of those undertones, I guess it's probably just led to a whole lot of people not having the necessary conversations. Moving on to actual infertility, because of the fact that nobody's ever told you about actually reproductive health, because there's sort of an expectation that just says everybody is fertile, nobody's going to suffer from infertility, we just carry on, all you just need to do is go ahead and have intercourse and it will all work. But meanwhile, that is not the story for every individual, because one of the narratives that are also commonly pushed out in our society, in Black communities, is that if you're a male, you do not suffer from infertility. That if there is infertility within a couple, the wife is to blame for that infertility. It should be her. She was created to procreate. She should be having that baby. If the couple is not having that child, it is because there is something wrong with the woman. And I often just think to myself, what is really happening with that boy child and that husband eventually? That if he grows up in a society that tells him that, oh no, there is nothing that could be wrong with you. You are born fertile, you are fertile, and you are going to make babies. And should you ever encounter, in a relationship that there is a problem with regards to fertility, it is never your fault. The narrative goes on and feeds into this. A husband is going to say to that wife or whoever it is, oh no, it is your fault. The narrative goes on and breeds a stigma that says to a woman, you are not woman enough. There is something wrong with you. It is your fault that you are not, we're not having these kids. And I think that is a wrong narrative, because in actual fact, the causes of infertility are actually equal amongst males and females. So it is not an either or of a situation, because no matter how much we would like, it takes two to tango. So it's a shared problem, and not a problem that is a he or a she problem, but a couple's problem. Another thing that goes in and feeds into this narrative that infertility is a taboo subject is the fact that we come from a society that's got a blame culture. A culture that goes in and says, if something is going on, it must be someone else's fault. If something is going on, it must be because, so and so is jealous of me, and or something is going on because, oh no, you have not repented enough, or not gone in and asked God for forgiveness for something that you have done. When meanwhile, there could be just something from a biological perspective that could go ahead and be sorted out. I remember when I shared my story of, when I shared our struggles with infertility, I noticed that people started treating me differently. And these individuals are not, individuals that are too far-fetched. That these were friends of mine who would ask me questions such as, oh no, so-and-so is having a shower, but I'm not really sure if you'd be comfortable with going. Or, oh no, they would actually hold back telling me about the fact that, oh no, they're pregnant, because of the fact that they would think, I don't know, I'm not really sure why they would hold back. But I could only just put it down to the fact that they're thinking to themselves, it might just be a trigger, or it might upset me. And this could not have been, furthest from the truth. Like I said to a friend, surely what I'm struggling with is infertility, but I'm still got a lot of capacity in order to be able to go on and share in someone's joy. So already, because of those things and not wanting to be treated differently, in my case, I guess it didn't stop me from going on and sharing my story, because of the fact that I still would tell anybody who's interested. But the funniest thing is, another person who I shared the story with, another family member, they asked the proverbial question that you should ask every married couple that do not have children: when are the kids coming? When are you guys going to do this? Because, time is not on your side. So I decided I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to tell him exactly what's going on. So I said to him, oh no, I'm struggling to, we're actually struggling to fall pregnant. The conversation was shut down. The conversation did not go any further. There was no follow-up answer from him or anything like that. And I wondered, you were curious enough, or I'm not sure whether it was curiosity or just something that you, without even thinking, that you think, oh no, I should ask. And if there was real concern in the asking, I then wonder how come it, the truthfulness of my suffering from, or my struggles with infertility went in and shut the conversation. And I think to myself, it shouldn't shut the conversation. I think it's just probably an opportunity for us to go on and learn. To probably go on and learn one of two things. That I'm not sure whether when we ask these questions, and I'm sure a lot of people who go on and ask the questions have no ill intent, that there's no malice associated with it. It's really just probably from a cultural sort of perspective, we have just been taught to say, oh no, that's the thing that you ask. So maybe people are actually thinking they're being polite, but sometimes by probably asking that question, it comes a lot with, a lot of hurt being asked that question. And I think to myself, probably it's also an opportunity that, oh no, as soon as someone tells you that they're struggling with infertility, that it probably would be an opportunity for learning, to actually probably ask just the question, oh, what do you mean you're suffering from infertility? What exactly does that entail? Oh, how can I go on and help if there's anything that I can do? Or perhaps sometimes where people just go on and say, I'm not really sure what to say, and actually just say that, because of the fact that that goes a long way. It's an opportunity to learn so that we can go on and change the narrative that says you are less of a woman, the narrative that says because you can't have a child, I would suggest that your husband goes and gets another wife. Because you can't have a child, oh no, I would exclude you from certain things because having a child is going to set you up on some sort of hierarchy within family sort of dynamics. Having a child does not go on and prove your worthiness of being, a woman or man. I'm actually certain that I've probably not done the subject justice. But then again, it's a subject that I could never do justice just by myself. And therefore, I would encourage you to go on and share your comments and your thoughts with regards to this so that we can go on and engage. I would just hope that by sharing my story, all I've just done is to provoke some thinking, to go on and have some self-reflection. When we do ask those questions, when is that baby coming? I do know that there's no ill intent meant with regards to asking those questions. But just so that even for those people who are being asked, that it would be an opportunity to probably just teach, or to probably just go on and say, your actual story, which is, I'm just struggling with infertility at the moment, but this is probably the options that I've got. Because in actually just sharing and being able to share our stories, we can go out and seek help. Or you might be saying it to a Kurai who has gone through that and who is going to probably tell you, do you know what? I actually worked the system and I figured, oh no, this place is cheaper than the other place. In the same manner that we go on and talk about anything, where our stories go on and shape us. If anything, I actually think to myself, this experience of having gone through infertility, had I not gone through it, I do not think I would have known the God that I know. A God who is a provider. Because IVF is expensive, but not one day did I go without. I went on and I was able to go on and seek the help because somebody decided to share their story on a blog. And all I had to search in a Google search was, what is the cheapest IVF option there is? And because of that person stepping out and sharing their story, I was able to be helped. This is a driving force and a passion project for me to go on and share my story, because in the hope that by me sharing my story, I would go on and demystify the stigma. I would go on and help in some way or influence in some sort of way the narrative that says infertility is taboo. Narrative that says if you're a woman and you do not have a child, you are less of a woman. The narrative that says if you're struggling with it, it should be kept hush-hush. If you're struggling with it, oh no, hazitaurwe, usaudze vanhu, nokuti hazviite kuudza vanhu. Probably just ask yourself, why not? Why not? Why not share our stories? And if you're someone who's on the other end where you've never experienced infertility, I can say this, we are all going to make blunders with regards to, oh no, the questions that we ask or the questions that we don't ask. If we actually do not ask the questions for fear that we will offend, we would go on with our ignorance when it could be meanwhile be seen as an opportunity to learn. Like I always comment on my posts, knowledge is power. By sharing your story, you are spreading the knowledge. It might not be for the whole host of people who are watching this, but if it's for that one individual who I might just go on and give the courage to say, just share your story. Just share it. It's yours. It's beautiful. No one else has experienced it. So thank you so much for joining me. And I would really hope that people would go on and comment and let's engage on all the different platforms. On Instagram, you can find me on IVF South Africa, as well as on Facebook, which is IVF South Africa. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.